My new seminar series is called Science-Based Dog Training with Feeling. Science-based dog training because I think that we've really strayed from the most elementary principles of learning theory, namely that feedback is binary. And with feeling because many trainers, when they try to adhere to learning theory, I think they try and emulate computers. And they become more technicians than trainers or companions to dogs. They've forgotten to talk to their dog. And these days, nearly all feedback it's non-instructive and it's quantum. By quantum, I mean it's always the same size. It's always the same click. It's always the same food pellet. It's always the same leash jerk or no or or electric shock. And it's not instructive. And I mean, try this with a friend. Just turn to them now and say to them, no, no. I mean, they'll jump out of their skin and they haven't got a clue what they're doing wrong. And neither does the dog. The instructive nature now of the feedback depends almost entirely that the trainer has exquisite timing, which of course not many owners do. Why do we do this? I think because most learning theory was created in the laboratory, and it was created from experiments in which computers were training rats and pigeons. And basically the computer could monitor the animal's behavior, you know, what part of the cage it's in, whether it pushed a button or pulled a lever or whatever. And the feedback it would give would either be a click followed by a food pellet, or a buzz followed by an electric shock. So what happened here was that in the laboratory the animals learned very quickly. Why? Because, you know, computers are consistent. They give absolutely consistent feedback. What we find, however, is that it doesn't work too well in real life, because humans aren't consistent. And this is where a lot of the punishment theory that was created in the laboratory doesn't work in practice, because if you fail to punish a dog just once, the dog learns, aha, they can't punish me when I'm off leash, or they can't punish me when they're away from home, or they can't punish me when they're answering the telephone or in the shower. And very quickly you now create owner absent, or if you like, punishment absent behavior problems. This never happens in the laboratory, but it happens in real life all the time. When the computers used rewards, they used a lot of sophisticated reinforcement schedules, loads of them. You had continuous reinforcement, fixed ratio, fixed interval, variable ratio, variable interval, and so on and so on and so on. And these work brilliantly in the laboratory, but again, these don't work in real life. Why? Because a person is not a computer. So all of these schedules that are really interesting in a laboratory, but they're kind of irrelevant in real life. What is relevant in real life? A differential reinforcement. To me, that's the only one that makes sense. That if a dog does something 10 times, what you'll find is 5 times the response is above average and 5 times the response is below average. And so why on earth reward the dog on those 5 occasions when he's giving you a below par performance? It's crazy. So when training a dog, I would only ever reward the dog 50% of the time anyway. That I would only reward the dog for above average responses. And of course, better responses would get better rewards, and the very best responses would get the very best rewards. So I'm not saying that learning theory, it doesn't exist, or I disagree with it. On the contrary, I'm a great believer in Thorndike and Skinner and in these hundreds of thousands of experiments that have been done on it. I'm just saying it's pretty irrelevant when it comes to a person training a dog. They are not a computer. They can't compute. They are not consistent. They can't be consistent. But what can they do? You see, we as humans are entirely different. That we have the way to look at behavior and to make a qualitative judgment. Is the behavior good? Is there panache? Is there pizzazz? A computer can't do that very well. And when we give consequences, when we give the dog feedback for his behavior, we don't have to be quantum. We don't have to just say good, bad, good, good, bad. We can tell the dog, there's a good dog, or there's a good dog, or woohoo, that was so cool, man, that's a really good dog. And by modulating our tone, we can now not only let the dog know he's doing it right or wrong, but how right he's doing it, or how dangerous the problem was. Additionally, by using our voice, this is where we absolutely transcend anything that a computer can do training rats and pigeons in laboratory, because we have language. And so instead of just giving quantum non-instructive feedback, electric shock, bzz, that's wrong, we can say to the dog, hey, get your chew toy. Get your chew toy if he's chewing on the furniture. Or if he's barking, we can say, shush. If he's jumping up, we can say, sit. So basically what I'm saying here is that learning theory is sound in the laboratory. When we apply these principles in practice, not all of them are going to work. We need to change things a little. That's the first point. The second point is, when we give a dog feedback, we shouldn't try and emulate a computer. That we needn't give the feedback in terms of buzzes and shocks and beeps and clicks and food pellets. We have a voice. And with our voice, when we modulate the tone, the feedback now is much more rich. It's qualitative. And when we carefully pick the words we use, when we pick instructive reprimands, we can now communicate so much more to the dog. So all I'm saying is here, we mustn't forget to talk to our dogs. We don't have to pretend that we're computers. And number one, we can't, because we can't compute as well and we aren't that consistent. But number two, we as humans can do so much better. When we act like humans, when we act like the dog's friend and we're trying to educate it, when we act in the way, like for example, if you were teaching a friend to ski or dance or play tennis or golf, or if you're teaching a child to read, and we talk to the dog and we give him feedback, that's when we now are absolutely going to transcend anything that a computer can do training animals in a laboratory.